Hello, my friends. This is my intro, just going. It's like this. Look at my new tattoo. In today's video, I wanted to repaint one of my most famous paintings. I'm going to be talking about the process of remaking this painting, and I'm also going to be talking about how I've developed my style over the past 6 years. When I first made this painting, it was the very first YouTube video I had ever posted with my voice and a voiceover talking, explaining a little bit about my process. I was very young, very self-conscious about my voice.
Hey guys, so for this speed painting, I'm just going to talk a little bit about finding your style, and I'm going to talk about how I found my style because I can talk about what I went through, you know? I can't talk about what you guys are going through. I'm just going to explain what I feel about this. Okay, so I started drawing manga when I was about 10 years old.
If you guys know my high school experience, my time in high school and my family life wasn't good. So there's a lot of sad emotions for me watching that video, just because I know the past Sarah from 6 years ago wasn't being who she wanted to be and was very insecure about herself. It just doesn't resonate with me. So it's privated. It's only for my eyes. I'm going to be showing you the original painting and talking about how my style has changed since 6 years ago, what I've learned, what I do differently, and what maybe my tips for you are if you're also looking to develop your own style. If you enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I post every weekend, so I would love to have you here, to have you join me. But without further ado, let's get into the painting process. First of all, I wanted to say that I'm so grateful for all the work that little me put into art, improving myself, and gaining independence. And this was just because I wasn't in a safe or a happy place, and I wasn't allowed to be who I really wanted to be, to show my personality, to have the interests that I did. A lot of the art I created was in secret. Many people in my life at the time were so disapproving of me, didn't believe in me, and it was very hard for me as I was growing up. I'm not trying to make fun of the kid that I used to be, but it is crazy how much I have changed and grown. I am sure that all of you will respect my decision to private so many of my videos. I've privated around 100 videos that are similar to this one in the content, but I am planning on remaking all of the videos that I think will be useful to you, updating the content and making much better videos. Anyway, this was the first video that I posted that really got attention. I unfortunately received so many negative comments on my voice, painting process, the advice I gave, and my personality. At the time, I was so insecure about myself, but I really did continue to grow and put myself out there and learn new techniques. I'm very proud of my younger self, and honestly, it's kind of insane to me how much I have diminished that negativity that I received, especially when I was younger. I have kind of minimized it in my head and told myself it wasn't really a big deal, but looking back on it, I really did receive a lot of negative feedback. Quickly, I want to talk a little bit about the remake for this piece. I color picked from the original painting for the base colors, but I truly did hate the color scheme. The pinks in this piece and the tones that I used are not ones that I would naturally use right now. I mostly never have red in my paintings, and so the color of the lips and the eyes and the hair is just not something I gravitate towards. So I switched up this color scheme and made it a little bit more warm, a little bit more orangey than the original, and I like the end color scheme so much better. Another funny thing is that in the original painting, I wasn't sure that I was able to paint the second eye properly, so I covered it up with hair. This painting got a ton of upvotes on Reddit. It was on the digital painting subreddit, I think. So many of the comments were like, when you can draw the second eye. And it's true, I just didn't have confidence in myself to draw that second eye. In this new painting, I wanted to show how my confidence in painting symmetrically has grown. Since I painted this original piece 6 years ago till now, I have learned so much about myself, about my style, and the kind of art I want to produce, and I want to talk about it a bit with you right now. I have learned that first and foremost that the media that I consume has influenced my personal style greatly. The movies and shows I watch, the music I listen to, and the artists that I follow all impact me in little ways. When I take inspiration from media, I look at what gives me joy and what sparks creativity in me in everything I consume. It doesn't have to be specific like the way that something is drawn, but more so lately it has been the color schemes I like, themes and motifs in the shows I watch, and even the huge art projects, grand, unattainable artwork that we see in media, such as animation, sculptures, etc. Surrounding yourself with big art and media is a great way to stretch your imagination and to organically build your style. Big projects have too much work and too many people working on them to be able to successfully copy them. It's much easier to see a more simplistic painting and to specifically copy it than it is to take inspiration from something that is a large artwork, a large project. With larger projects, I'm able to pick the actual emotions and ideas and motifs that I like rather than specifically copying brushstrokes and composition. Secondly, I think about the emotions that I want my work to convey. This is something I've been working on for the past several years. These days, I want my work to be magical. I like the idea of reclaiming femininity in this modern, escapist way rather than how it's traditionally been for the male gaze. You can see this femininity portrayed in movies like Little Women or concepts of cottagecore. It's femininity in a way that's empowering and not demeaning. If you don't like this, I don't care. At the end of the day, I like to surround myself with media that makes me feel these types of ways. Next, I like to learn new skills. That's imperative to learning about your style, about yourself, what you like, and developing your artwork. I always want to try out different ways of doing the same thing. For example, 2 years ago, I perfected, quote unquote, the way that I draw eyes, which was nice, but I kind of started over and started to experiment with new techniques, new ways to draw eyes. I don't want my work staying stagnant. I don't want to find the perfect way to draw something and then keep it that way. Maybe the way that I think is the perfect way to draw eyes isn't really the best way to convey the emotions that I want to. Therefore, I'm always willing to experiment and start over. If you've noticed recently, the way that I draw eyes, it's so different than the way that I did 2 years ago. And even though the way that I did 2 years ago is still beautiful and I miss it, I love the way that I'm starting to portray faces now. It's very different. You might say it's less pretty than it used to be, but I like it a lot more because I think it captures more emotions than my work used to. When I compare this new painting versus the old one, I like the new one so much more, but this doesn't mean that I'm completely satisfied with it and I'm ready to stop growing, the same way that when I painted the first piece, I liked it, but I wasn't ready to throw the towel in and to give up learning and growing. There are always ways to improve, and you have to have that mindset if you're going to be a good artist and have your own unique voice. The next way that I think my style has developed is that I personally get fixated on colors, whether it's indigo or forest green or pink or lime green. I go through phases of adding one specific color to all my pieces. At the moment, I've been loving adding lime or grass green to my facial tones. You can see it in this piece as well as some of my previous traditional and digital paintings. I think it's so cute, and that is the phase that I am in right now, but that's personally something that is part of my style. I have kind of signature colors that I love to add to most of my paintings. Hopefully you learned a little bit from my experience, but if you're just asking for some general tips, I would recommend that you watch lots of realistic and traditional painting processes so that you can learn and improve your understanding of anatomy, lighting, colors, and composition. This is imperative to becoming a better artist. It's something that I constantly need to be working on and improving myself. Just because you have a pretty good understanding of one of these concepts doesn't mean that you can't continue improving in it. I also recommend surrounding yourself with a variety of media and artists, not just like-minded creators, not just artists that draw exactly the same subject matter or with the same medium that you do. There's always ways to get inspiration and a new perspective through observing other artists' workflow and their process and their subject matter. Lastly, this one I think is a great one, is to learn from graphic design. You can learn how simplification of shapes and composition can lead to a dynamic and powerful piece. It's something I always recommend, is to look at more graphic work. As I'm wrapping up this painting process, I love to add some of my signature elements such as the really pretty glows, as well as some neon pink and green highlights, stars and little fairy dust, as well as a shiny nose, forehead, lips, cheeks, and freckles in a much more realistic way than the original piece. And here is the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed this painting process. If you enjoy watching my videos on digital painting, let me know in the comments. I would really love to hear your feedback on the type of paintings and drawings that you like me to post, and let me know if you like remakes of my paintings such as this one. I always love to do them and to see how my style has changed and what I do differently now, and I think it's kind of useful as well if you're kind of going through the exact same process, to hear what somebody who's constantly improving and working towards just to be better at art, what my experience is. So thank you so much for being here and for watching. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.